Who wants to be a real estate agent? Number 1. A licensee written lease must contain notice of the right to attorney review if it A. Requires a security deposit, B. Contains an automatic renewal clause, C. Provides for holdover tenancy, D. Is for a period of 1 year or more. The answer is D. Is for a period of 1 year or more. Number 2. A lead-based payment disclosure statement must be included in the lease for any A. Residential property, B. Living unit to be occupied by a child under the age of 10, C. Residential building constructed before 1978, D. Residential or commercial property. The answer is C. Residential building constructed before 1978. Number 3. A lease is considered to be A. A freehold state, B. Personal property, C. A reversionary interest, D. Real property. The answer is B. Personal property. Number 4. A woman agrees to rent her upstairs apartment to a friend for only the next 6 months. The friend has A or N. A. Stayed for years, B. Periodic state, C. Tenancy at will, D. Tenancy at sufferance. The answer is A. Stayed for years. Number 5. The owner agrees to rent his upstairs apartment, which is not subject to rent control, to a friend from month to month. To end the arrangement, the owner must A. File a court suit to recover possession, B. Give at least 60 days notice from the day the rent is due, C. Give at least 1 month's notice before the day the rent is due, D. Simply refuse to accept the next month's rent on the day it is due. The answer is C. Give at least 1 month's notice before the day the rent is due. Number 6. A tenant's lease has expired. The tenant has neither vacated nor negotiated a renewal lease, and the landlord has declared that she does not want the tenant to remain in the building. The tenancy is called A. Stayed for years, B. Periodic state, C. Tenancy at will, D. Tenancy at sufferance. The answer is D. Tenancy at sufferance. Number 7. The owner sells her 6-unit apartment building in Trenton to a buyer. All tenants have leases and have paid security deposits. Now, A. The buyer may give all the tenants 30 days notice. B. Tenants should collect their security deposits from the previous owner. C. The new owner must renegotiate all leases with the tenants. D. The original owner must turn over security deposits to the new owner. The answer is D. The original owner must turn over security deposits to the new owner. Number 8. A lease, property acknowledged, may be recorded if it is for a period of more than A. 1 year, B. 2 years, C. 3 years, D. 4 years. The answer is B. 2 years. Number 9. The prospective tenant is entitled to an attorney's review of a licensee written residential lease that runs for as short a term as A. 3 years, B. 2 years, C. 1 year, D. 6 months. The answer is C. 1 year. Number 10. A tenant who transfers the entire remaining term of his or her lease to a third party is A. A sublessor, B. Assigning the lease, C. Automatically relieved of any further obligation under it, D. Giving the third party a sandwich lease. The answer is B. Assigning the lease. Number 11. An apartment lease agreement states that it expires on April 30, 2022. When must the landlord give notice that the tenancy is to end? A. January 31, 2022. B. March 31, 2022. C. April 1st, 2022. D. No notice is required. The answer is D. No notice is required. Number 12. If a tenant falls 3 months behind in rent payments, a landlord may A. Turn down the heat, B. Move out the tenant's possessions, storing them carefully, C. Start a court suit for possession, D. Do all of the above. The answer is C. Start a court suit for possession. Number 13. Even when there is a lease, if a landlord turns the heat down to 55 degrees, the tenant may move out and stop paying rent because of A. The demising clause, B. Constructive eviction, C. A summary proceeding, D. Secondary liability. The answer is B. Constructive eviction. Number 14. A property manager may be reimbursed with A. A percentage of rentals, B. Rebates from suppliers, C. Key money, D. Any of the above. The answer is A. A percentage of rentals. Number 15. In New Jersey, rent security deposits A. Must be placed in an interest-bearing account, B. Belong to the landlord while in his or her possession and may be kept in the landlord's personal savings account, C. May be double the rent, D. Must be placed in the bank within 15 days of acceptance. The answer is A. Must be placed in an interest-bearing account. Number 16. After a landlord has properly placed a tenant's security deposit in a bank account, A. Annual interest earned must be credited to the tenant. B. The landlord may keep, for expenses, 2% of the annual interest earned on the deposit. C. The tenant can demand its return at any time. D. No other tenant's security deposit can be added to that account. The answer is A. Annual interest earned must be credited to the tenant. Number 17. An owner wants to sell a rental residential property that is currently under lease for another 16 months. Regarding the security deposit made by the current tenants, the seller A. may keep it, as the new owner can collect a new security deposit from the tenants. B. must return the deposit and interest earned to the tenants. C. must deliver the deposit to the purchaser and notify the tenants. D. must immediately terminate the current lease. The answer is C. must deliver the deposit to the purchaser and notify the tenants. Number 18. A tenant signed an apartment lease calling for $1,000 rent per month. According to New Jersey law, the landlord may also require a maximum security deposit of A. $500, B. $1,000, C. $1,250, D. $1,500. The answer is D. $1,500. Number 19. A woman owns a 24-unit apartment building. The building is managed by a professional management company, and a superintendent lives on the premises. As the landlord, the woman is responsible for furnishing certain information to each of her tenants. Which of the following is not her responsibility to provide? A. Her name and address, as well as those of the managing agent and the superintendent. B. Information regarding the federal crime insurance program, including how the tenant may obtain coverage. C. A copy of the Truth in Renting statement. D. The name of the local housing inspector and health officer. The answer is D. The name of the local housing inspector and health officer. Number 20. A gross lease is most likely to be used for rental of A. An apartment, B. A factory building, C. Land under a post office, D. A farm. The answer is A. An apartment. Number 21. With a triple net lease, the tenant pays A. Rent only, B. Rent plus a share of business profits, C. Rent plus any increase in property taxes, D. Everything but the mortgage. The answer is D. Everything but the mortgage. Number 22. A percentage lease provides for A. Rental of a percentage of the value of a building, B. Definite periodic rent not exceeding a stated percentage, C. Definite monthly rent plus a percentage of the tenant's gross receipts in excess of a certain amount, D. Graduated amount due monthly and not exceeding a stated percentage. The answer is C. Definite monthly rent plus a percentage of the tenant's gross receipts in excess of a certain amount. Number 23. A ground lease is usually A. Terminable with 30 days notice, B. Based on percentages, C. Long term, D. A gross lease. The answer is C. Long term. Number 24. In the absence of rent regulations, the amount of rent charged is determined by the A. Management agreement, B. Principle of supply and demand, C. operating budget. D. Toss of a coin. The answer is B. Principle of supply and demand. Number 25. The initials CPM stand for A. Chargeback percentage mortgage. B. Contract priority maintenance. C. Certified property manager. D. Cardiopulmonary manipulation. The answer is C. Certified property manager.